What is going on, beautiful people out there in audio land? It's another amazing Tuesday, which means, as you all know, it's time for another broadcast from Point Noir, home of the Point Noir podcast. I'm your host and guide, Jerry III, aka The Kimono Jack, and I'm so glad you're here with us for our 26th session of the Point Noir podcast, where we equip and inspire men of color to see themselves in a new light through travel. We have another amazing guest to introduce to you today, and before we get into their story, I wanted to remind you that it would be an amazing holiday present if you guys could just spend a few minutes while you're off from work or, waiting for the plane to take off on the runway to leave us a 5-star review on iTunes. We'd really appreciate it. And if you want to show other people in your life that you think they're special, why don't you share one of your favorite sessions with them? You say, hey, happy holidays. Know you have a little bit of free time. Why don't you just, sit back, grab a refreshing beverage of choice, and go along on this amazing travel journey. I think you really will enjoy it. So, we're out here looking out for you guys. Point Noir serves as a great gift. Anyway, all that being said, let's introduce today's special guest, and I'll see you guys on the other side. Joining us today as our special guest at The Point is Keon Steele. Make sure you follow him on Instagram at KeonJSteele, or if you want an even deeper look at some of the resources we talk about, you can check out his travel content website, blackandwelltraveled.com, or follow them as well on Instagram at blackandwelltraveled. We talk about all kinds of things in this episode, from his beginnings as a very, very young traveler and adventurer, all the way to how he prefers to travel now, which tends to be in groups, which is super fascinating. And the thing that I really, really appreciate about this episode is how much he harps and emphasizes on traveling affordably, traveling within your means, knowing that that deal is your best chance of having an amazing experience for an amazing price. So if you're interested in traveling affordably within your means, if you don't have unlimited funds, I think this is going to be a great episode, a great session for you. So as always, sit back in a comfy chair with a beverage of choice and enjoy today's session. What is going on today, Keon? Thanks for joining us today at The Point. How are you feeling today, bro?
I'm feeling great. Just dealing with this cold weather, ready for a vacation somewhere tropical. But other than that, I'm doing great.
That's what's up, fam. Man, I'm glad you were able to spend some time to join us today at The Point to share your perspective about travel. And I feel you on that winter blues, man. It's starting to get chilly here in Dallas, and I'm a winter fan, but they don't do it right in Texas. There's no snow, it's none of the fun stuff. It's just all the miserable coldness.
Yeah, it's just cold and wet. Like here, I'm in Atlanta right now. It's raining. It's like 35 degrees. I'm like, this is the perfect opportunity to snow and actually enjoy the winter, but it's just miserable outside.
All right. And what, a half inch of snow in Atlanta will shut you down for 5 square miles? Is that how they still work it?
It really just depends. I mean, now we do it to where they shut down the entire city. Before they were trying to experiment and they just always went wrong. So now they shut it down any sign of snow coming. It's like snow possible, 30% chance, work is canceled.
Yeah, man. I mean, listen, it's not, I'm from the East Coast, so I'm used to the blizzards and the nor'easters and stuff like that. So I appreciate the South.
I grew up in Germany. So to me, this is kind of like, okay, like we're used to like walking in like inches of snow. So
all right, Germany. I had no idea about that, man. So let's jump into your travel story. Tell us about how you started becoming a traveler or adventurer. I know it's a huge part of your life now, and you just mentioned growing up in Germany. How did you kind of make your way into this lifestyle, this hobby and activity?
Yeah, growing up in Germany, my parents were both in the military, so that provided us the opportunity to travel often. Before 9/11 and all the fees and fares, traveling was pretty cheap, and then traveling from country to country in Europe is really cheap. You can fly from country to country in Europe cheaper than you can fly from Georgia to Alabama, and if you know anything about a map, they're right next to each other. So
yeah, that's true. That's true.
So traveling in Europe is very cheap, and then being in the military, my parents being in the military, they were called hops. So it's the equivalent of like standby. So if we really wanted to go somewhere, we could just do a hop. If we like wanted to go somewhere last minute, other than that, we can just plan a family vacation and go that way. So yeah, I was able to go to like the UK, go to Italy, go to Spain, go to Poland, go to Czech, like Luxembourg. We was able to go wherever we could for very cheap, and that really got me interested in other cultures and what it was like to explore other cities and whether you are roughing it or staying at a resort, it really got me acclimated to the travel lifestyle and what I prefer and how I prefer to travel.
Wow, so you really true to this, not new to this. Like, how old were we talking when you first started taking these trips, these hops with your family?
Well, we spent. I was in Germany from the time I was 2 to about 6, and then we went back when I was 8 to around 11 or 12. So
Wow.
I was really young. I really didn't have any say, but I really give all the credit to my mom because I really think that she just wanted me to be a little bit more cultured, and so it was really her that was really pushing it. Like, okay, sometimes it was really just her and I going, and my dad and my brother would stay behind. So she was really the one pushing, like, okay, we're gonna go here, we're gonna see this. So um, I really didn't appreciate it as a child. So like, okay, it's just old buildings I'm looking at.
Right,
But
right.
now it's kind of like, oh wow, like this is something that people these days are spending hundreds of dollars to do, and I was doing it for like on the cheap when I was younger.
Yeah, for sure, especially before 9/11. And yeah, it's a big ambition, and it is reasonable that you didn't realize the magnitude of what you were experiencing as a kid, but it's great that you did have those experiences. Does anything stand out in particular as a memory? Did you like make any friends like for a weekend, or did you see anything that you remember now that just kind of took your breath away?
Well, unfortunately, pre-social media, keeping up with people isn't as easy as it was.
Right,
You
right.
know, so it really was. You had weekend friends, other kids at the hotel that you would get to know, and then that would truly be the end. So, the bright side of social media today is you meet somebody on a fun weekend. You can connect with them for life. You have a travel buddy for life. If you go to, Barcelona, you have a Barcelona friend for life who's going to be there every time you come
Yeah.
to Spain. Like, but back then, it was no social media like that. So kind of just lost contact. Disney World in Paris, I slept most of the time. We have it on camera. That sticks out to me. I just remember being so tired. I like slept the entire time.
Yeah.
And then my first trip to London, it rained, I think 99% of the time we were there. And
Okay.
I just remember me and my mom still just like pushing it. We were just like, we're gonna go, we're still gonna see Big Ben, we're still gonna see Buckingham Palace, and we were just like
Right.
drenched, like on top of double-decker buses on the top, just getting drenched the
Oh, on
whole
the
way.
top in the rain? Like
Yeah,
y'all
yeah. I
was
mean,
really about it.
we had to see. I think we went on like a tour group to London, and I think we had like possibly like a day and a half there, 2 days. So it was really like do or die. and
Right.
kind of now that's the same mentality I take now. Like when I go somewhere, it's like I sleep maybe 4 hours out of the whole time I'm on vacation because I'm like
Okay.
constantly going. If my feet aren't hurting by the end of the day, I'm not doing something right. And I get that same mentality from that trip in London where it's like you got to go, go, go because this may be your last trip ever or your last time coming
Wow.
back here, and you just because you never know.
Yeah, I mean, and that's true. And it's funny because I kind of have the opposite mentality when visiting places where, especially I used to live in Paris, France. And I was a tour guide as well. So
Uh
people would
huh.
come and try to rush around in a similar fashion that you would. And, to be very transparent, not all of them were built for that, hitting 4 museums in a day on those hard
Yeah.
floors. And I'd be like, hey, hit one thing, hit two things, but always come back to Paris. And I do appreciate that there is another perspective to that same scenario that it's like, you know what? We're not promised tomorrow. We're not promised to have the ability to ever come back. So do it all now. And I think they're both valid.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's just it. And being a person who I've never done solo travel. I always travel with people, whether it's one or two or a group.
Okay.
You really have to still have that sense of independence when you do go on a trip because sometimes you may not do stuff with the people that you're with. So you still have to have that sense of like I have to tailor my trip how I want my trip to end
Right.
because some people are they I know people who want to go on vacation, they want to sleep, they want to lay by the pool, they want to read magazines, they want to catch up on TV, they want to drink margaritas. Like I want my margarita in a to-go cup because I'm going, I'm trying to see stuff, I'm trying to do stuff.
Right.
So it's but if you go somewhere with somebody, you have to let them know up front, like, hey, this is how I like to travel. And if that's not working for you, you have to be that independent person to go do it on your own.
Right. That's real. And everybody kind of has different objectives. I want to dive into that a little bit later because I think it's very interesting that you don't do solo travel. But let's talk a little bit more about your evolution because while you might have started, having these experiences that you may kind of remember as a child, what led you to continue to want to explore the world and see new things as you became independent, as you became an adult? Was there any sort of inspiration there?
No, again, it was always just something that was just a part of me. It was something that I enjoy, experiencing other cultures, just getting away from the stresses of being here. Whether it's just wanting to have fun, whether it wants to experience something new. That's something that's just a part of me. So, and when I got older and started, making money and be able to afford travel, um, it was just something that I was like, okay, I got to do it. And I'm blessed to be surrounded by a group of people who also enjoy traveling and want to see the world and want to experience new
Right.
things. So, it was always like, I'd rather save my money and, put it towards a trip rather than put it towards like, a couple new pair of shoes.
True, true, because shoes are expensive
Shoes are
these
expensive, and they, and
days.
they and they go and they go on the ground. That makes no sense to me. Like, yeah, I have a few friends who are sneakerheads. I'm like, you really pay like triple digits for these things that you use to walk on the ground and go through dirt and mud but yeah, I don't judge. Spend your money how you want.
Right, right. Everybody's got their thing, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's super dope,
Mhm.
man. So let's start talking about some of the experiences you've had that you can remember since you're not a kid anymore. Where are some of the places that you've gone that have just really captured your imagination or just been amazing trips for you so far?
As a kid, like I said, even though I was asleep the whole time, I do like remember being in Paris and um the magnitude of Paris. I know you said you used to live there and it was a tour guide, but I mean,
Hmm.
people say Paris is overrated, but I still just remember a sense of like magic when I was in Paris. Even as a kid, I
Okay.
still kind of, I still kind of felt like this place is different. And then, just being in London was really nice. And then, in Poland, we went to like a lot of like small villages and cities. So that's always stuck out to me. And, one thing that really, really, really sticks out to me is when you go to a lot of places in Europe or even in Asia or other places. That's why I learned to treat like a lot of people with respect because you go into like stores, whether they're shops or whether they're restaurants, and like you're talking to the owner. They may not look like the owner, but like like the person that greets you and you're speaking to and you're having a conversation with. That's the owner of the store.
Right.
And you wouldn't guess that unless you sat down and had a conversation with that person. So yeah, that really taught me a lot, like how to treat everybody that you come in contact with, which is as much respect as you can because you never know. And the nicer you are to them, the better discount they used to give you when you were buying stuff. So, um,
Right, right. Or a little or an extra dessert shot or something like that. I've
yeah,
been there.
yeah, like come on, like, they'll give you extra stuff. So like it really taught you like just treat everybody what you can with respect and people are typically friendly. I know like, these days we're just drowned out by news. Like news just comes so fast at us and
Hmm.
things can seem really scary. But like I always remember people just being very friendly. Like wherever you went, people were just always very friendly.
Okay, so fast forward to today, like what are some areas that you love exploring in the world or that you have a soft spot in your heart for as you have had so much travel experience? Where do you like to go to today?
Costa Rica stuck out to me a lot. I mean, that's like to me like a playground. I really enjoy Costa Rica. There's just so much to do there. If you're just like an adventure person, and you don't have to be like an adrenaline junkie because that's not me. I'm not skydiving or bungee jumping, but like there's rainforest you can trek through, you can ride horses through, you can ATV through. There's like all these beautiful islands there. There's a volcano you can see. There's little surf towns you can go to. Costa Rica is just like a melting pot of adventure. So,
Mm.
if you want to stay in San Jose, which is the actual city, I mean, you could just pack up in like an hour and a half to get to these other little surf towns or little cities where you can do stuff. I stayed in Jaco when I was there, so that's like an hour and a half from San Jose and it's like this small little quaint like surf town. Is very nice. We stayed right on the beach. The waves are huge. The food was good. They had like a strip of bars there. And we caught a few tour groups to go. We went to like the rainforest. We went ATV riding through the jungle, and we did like a couple like boat tours to like different islands. So Costa Rica stuck out to me. a lot if you are into doing stuff. It's exhausting because I mean those tours start at 6 in the morning. So
Mm.
and then I want to go out at night because I like to go out. So I'm staying out to 2, 3 in the morning, and I'm waking up at 60 ready for an all day tour. So I mean, Costa Rica isn't for the faint of heart, but it's definitely a lot of fun.
Right,
Yeah.
especially burning both ends of the candles. And what was that name of that small surf town that you just mentioned?
It's called Jaco, Jaco. It's like a small little surf town. They have like
Okay.
hotels there if you want to stay. They have restaurants. Yeah, really nice place. And to me, I actually do prefer that, staying like outside the city. And then if we needed anything or if we wanted to do something, we could just go into San Jose. But that really wasn't required because everything we wanted was in Jaco.
Okay, that makes
Yeah.
sense. And I haven't been to Costa Rica yet, so I'm curious, is Costa Rica a place you would advise for maybe first-time travelers? Is it pretty affordable? What's the vibe like in terms of just getting there?
Yeah, getting there to me is relative because I tell people chase the deal. And just
Mm.
unfortunately with the way that jobs are structured these days, you have to really build up your time off, and whether it's your PTO or if you want to, your personal days off, because a lot of those deals you're going to find are going to leave like Wednesday and come back Sunday. So I
So
tell
like
people don't
flight
check.
deals or vacation package deals? What
Yeah.
you talking about?
I like flight deals. I really
Okay.
don't do the vacation package thing because I like the flexibility of choosing stuff a la carte. So I
Yeah.
like just doing flight deals. So like I said, if you follow all the things like Airfare Watchdog and Secret Flying and those sites, they'll send you alerts when a deal comes. And again, it'll be a real kind of weird flying time, but that's how it's easier to chase the deal rather than say, okay, I'm going to take off March 1st through March 5th, and I'm going to search for a vacation in that time. And so you're going to be hard. It's
Right.
going to be harder to find a better deal that way rather than, oh, I found a deal that for this ticket that flies from March 15th through March 20th. I'm gonna book that and then worry about getting the time off work. You'll just be better off as far as the deal goes that way. And then Skyscanner is just like a dream to me. I
Yeah,
also
that's
use
my A1.
yeah, I think like I Skyscanner is the best thing ever to me. So to me, like you being able to search months is just ideal to me because it's like I don't have to celebrate my birthday on my birthday. I can celebrate my birthday anytime
That's
before
real.
or
Hey,
after.
that's
So
smart.
it's fun. So
Yeah.
it's like I pull up my birthday is July 31st. I pull up July and you can literally search and it'll give you the calendar of the whole month. Instead of searching a day, you
Yeah.
can search a month and then you can see like the highest and lowest times to fly, and it'll break it down for you coming and going. So Skyscanner is like the best to me.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Skyscanner. I was actually just on it earlier today. And for those of you guys that aren't familiar, it's skyscanner.com. And the best way to do this, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Keon, but is get into a private browser. So for most computers, that's using
Yeah.
Command Shift N if you're on a Mac, or Control Shift N, so they can't like track your cookies and stuff. And
Uh
they
huh.
don't charge you more if you look up the same flight again. But you can actually look at any flight leaving the US to any place in the world
Yep.
and just look at prices. So you could
Yeah.
just look, what's the most affordable for under $500? Where do I have to leave at? Like they really hook you up and they show you the
Yeah.
most affordable time of the year, the most affordable month to head out there. It's so dope.
Yeah. So to me, like you can show you what airport you're flying out of. So like I put Atlanta because I live in Atlanta, and then it'll break it down by country. So once you put in Atlanta to anywhere, and then you put in like the
Anywhere.
month of July, the next page you'll go on will be like United States, and it'll show you all the places you can find United States, and it'll give you Mexico, Canada, and it'll order them all by prices too. So then you can like, okay, I just want a cheap trip out of the country. You can just go and see all the countries right there with their price tag next to them, and then you can search by city. So, like I said, Skyscanner is a dream come true to me. I love it. Once I first found it, I haven't stopped using it. And as far as the web browser thing goes, I stress that to people all the time because people don't know that. But yes,
Hmm.
search private, go incognito, or delete your cookies, or refresh your cookies, or whatever it's called if you have to, because that's a life hack, and they will charge you more if they see you going back to the site over and over again because I guess they think you're interested in going. So they just
Yep.
jack up the price. So I tell people search incognito all the time.
Yeah, that's a super hack right there. And you're right, incognito is a word. Thank you for reminding me of that. Yeah, y'all use that incognito browser when you're looking for flight deals, car rentals, hotels, just anything like that. Because, like Keon said, if you go back to it again, they could easily raise the price because they think you're probably going to pay it regardless.
Right. They're like, they're for sure that you're interested because you came back like three times. Like, oh yeah, you're definitely gonna buy. So,
Right.
the price goes up. So yeah.
Yeah, that's real. That's real. So let's tap on this whole group trip thing because I'm an avid solo traveler. All of my adventuring has been mostly solo, and I think it's fascinating to want to travel in groups, to kind of exclusively travel in groups. So can you talk a little bit about why that's been your mode of travel? Clearly, it works for you, but what about traveling in groups excites you to go out and adventure?
Well, it's not necessarily that I prefer one over the other. It's just kind of like the
Hmm.
way my life has been set up. Again, I'm just blessed to have a vast group of a travel circle of people that I feel comfortable with traveling with, people that I have fun traveling with, people that I feel like I want to invite back to travel again. Because I say all the time, there are people who I'm like, I will never go anywhere with you ever again. But like I said, fortunately, I've been blessed to have a large group. So when I do say I'm going somewhere, there's typically one or more people who will say, "Okay, I'm coming along with you because I want to see this
Okay.
country. I want to get away." So it's not that I prefer one over the other, but it's just the way that everything has falling into place. It's always end up being some type of group travel.
Okay, that's super dope, especially because they're organized within your own social circle. And you know,
Yeah.
there are many black travel group opportunities. I
Uh
won't
huh.
name any right now, but you know, a lot of people find that those are interesting ways to get involved in travel before because they're going to a new place. They're not sure about, you know, what the environment's like. So they at least want to have somebody that they can
Right.
talk to, you know?
Right. And then plus, like traveling has become sort of like, I don't want to say it's become elitist, but people are definitely trying to push it in that direction. So now it's kind of like, okay, you got to travel for your birthday. Okay, you got to go somewhere for your birthday. You can't stay inside your perimeter and go to Applebee's anymore because that's not a real birthday. And
All right.
then,
But shout
nobody's
out to
trying to,
eating good in the neighborhood. You know, Applebee's been treating us right. So, I
yeah.
mean,
And then the flip side of it is like the whole going to the club and buying a bottle is getting so outdated that typically for birthdays people want to travel, they want to go somewhere, they want a vacation. So I get a lot of invites for birthday trips, so that also is why I'm always on group trips.
right. That's got to be a unique experience to, you know, celebrate life, celebrate success, you know, show love for a person and all have a new experience at one time because, you know, that is difficult, especially in a city that you've been in for a while. You already know the clubs you like to go to, you know, the restaurants, and it's great to be treated well if they know you on that basis. But why not have a completely unique experience and bring your friends along?
Right, right, right. So like I said, I've been blessed. Like I said, I've known people who have horrible travel stories. They just go out of the country and it's like fight night out there. So I've just I've been it's just like an episode of the Bad Girls Club. Like I've been like blessed to go out of the country and never really get into those situations where it's like I come home, it's like I'm never traveling with this person again. I do really feel blessed because I've heard some really, really, really horrible stories of, friendships being ruined, people getting lost and stranded, like because of, other people. So, I feel really blessed that I've been able to, cultivate this group of people who I can travel with on kind of a rotating basis because everybody doesn't come along on every trip, but it's a rotating basis to where I do always end up with one or more people coming with me.
Right. So since you haven't had any of these experiences, you have to share. What is the worst story? You can leave out the names, but just give us a scenario of the worst group travel trip or one of the worst that you've ever heard of.
I did hear that. I did hear this story. Pretty much somebody did get stranded because their friend pretty much like scammed them out of the money. Like they were like, "Oh, I booked your ticket." They got the money, and they like got to the airport, and like they were stranded in America, not stranded overseas. But the friend like never booked the ticket or anything, and then the friend still ended up going to the place with their money.
Ooh,
And it was just kind of
yeah, that's
like,
shady.
wow, you didn't like get a confirmation number. You didn't you didn't get a confirmation number. You didn't get a copy of your plane ticket. Like, And the person was like, yeah, I just trusted my friends. So I thought like, they just had the ticket. We were going to get to the airport together and there was going to be a vacation. Then, I've heard just about people fighting over there with their friends and like actual physical fight. And then, friend groups can be tricky. So if it's
Mm-hmm.
somebody's birthday and then it's like, oh, you may not know somebody else's friends.
Right.
So those situations get kind of sticky. So I have heard about situations where, they don't even spend time with the group anymore because they've gotten to a place where it's gotten to a verbal or physical altercation with a new group, with a new friend or something like that. So yeah, like I said, I'm good. Thankfully, I'm good. Yeah,
That's right. Travel with Keon, y'all. He'll buy your ticket. You'll
yeah.
get a flight confirmation. It'll be a lit time.
Yeah,
But
if you
just,
travel with
think
me,
twice.
I give you all the paperwork. Like I give you all your paperwork. If you come somewhere with me, you're gonna have a good time. And I'm very transparent about my travel too. Like I'm not always staying in 5-star hotels or resorts or stuff like that. I'm very transparent. Sometimes we gotta rough it, but I get the job done.
100%. I believe it, man. And like I was telling you, man, I appreciate the travel vibes and the positivity you share on your page. And one thing I do want to talk about is this other account, this other travel influencer and blog account that you have called Black and Well Traveled. And where did the inspiration for that come from, and why is it so important to you?
Well, I started it a couple years ago. I just started like writing about my travels and my adventures, and it was like, okay, well, let me start, making them public because I am sometimes giving advice to people, and a lot of times people on my Facebook page, family members, friends, they ask me for travel advice. So as I started like writing and listing stuff, and I try to make everything real short and sweet and simple and to the point. I decided to just start posting it. I had to come with a name. So I like, how do I describe myself? And that's where Black and World Travel came. So I essentially just started blogging like that. And then I had to create the Instagram page. So once I created the Instagram page, I started posting other people's travel pictures. People started DMing me, asking me to post their travel pictures. And that was a
Wow.
good way. That was a good way to get the conversation going because it became a community at a point to where somebody would post a picture and they were like in Cancun, and I would have people commenting about like questions about what to do in Cancun, where to go, and we would have people tagging in and answering the questions. So it became a community of travelers, and I thought that was really important because again, my main objective in traveling and showing my travels and Black and World Travel is to show that everybody can travel.
Yeah.
And I want that to be a thing. People message me all the time, like, "Oh my God, you've been to Dubai. How did you afford that ticket?" Nah, 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 nah. Like, and I never want people to feel like they can't travel anywhere. And it's just about
Mm-hmm.
you have to know how to travel, and you have to stop believing the hype. You have to stop believing the hype. I went to school with somebody who Instagram page, they're always in hotel rooms taking pictures and they're tagging these like exotic places, but they never post any like other pictures of their time.
Right.
It's always like, oh, here's my hotel picture. I'm in Milan, I'm in Shanghai, I'm in Thailand, I'm in Australia, but they never take any pictures while they're like, seeing the sights and stuff. So to me, that indicates to me that you're not really in no city.
Or maybe that's all you could afford to do was get the hotel and the return flight.
You really think they spent the money to go out there? You really think they spent the money to go out there and only go to the hotel? I'm pretty sure that they're at the
Bro, in this
W.
day
I'm
and
pretty sure
age.
they're at the W around the corner, and they just took some pictures in the hotel and called it a day. I'm like 99% sure, but it's just all this
Wow,
hype. Like it's
that's funny.
yeah, and it's like I got to a point where I saw the travel, especially Black travel, moving into this sort of elitist sort of group. And it was always
Mm-hmm.
kind of like, okay, if we're traveling, we're going to all these exotic destinations, we're on boats, we're popping bottles. Oh, we spent all this money. And it got, oh, you're not traveling. I can't date you if you don't have a passport. You haven't been out the country. And it
Mm.
became this sort of thing where it was like, okay, like something that I love and I care about, which is traveling, is becoming this thing that people are using to think that they're better than other people.
It's a
And
commodity.
yeah,
It's become something to establish social value.
exactly. It's become a social currency. And to me, that got to a point where it really started to get on my nerves. So I started
Yeah.
doing black and world travel and just posting like, regular people. Like, a lot of the pictures I tried to post weren't like heavily edited. They weren't like, these glamour shots from the mall. They weren't like, taking with this Canon TI WQXZ camera. Like, it was just regular people with their cell phone taking selfies with the monkey in Thailand. Like, it was just regular pictures. And I wanted to keep sending that message that, hey, if you want to do it, you can do it. And everybody can travel. It's not something that costs you $1 million to do. And I wanted to keep conveying that message because the message was getting out there that you have to have a lot of money to travel, but you also have to travel or you're not like a real millennial.
Right, right. It's like telling somebody you got to buy this sort of watch or this sort of luxury car, this Mercedes, otherwise you're not popping. And dude, I really appreciate you sharing so much depth about that because I think it really turns off people who want to travel. I think earnestly
Yeah.
people see these experiences and they want to partake as well. And I love the content that you have on your website. You also bring in guest bloggers, but you have titles such as How I Survived a Week in Europe on 500 euros or 5 mini trips you can take right now. You have Instagram templates that people can copy and paste and kind of draw on and post in their
Mm-hmm.
profile. You have one just for how many of the US states have you been to? And to me, that's where travel starts, at a practical place where you can afford it, where it works with your schedule. It might be a 3-day weekend, but
Yeah.
you have a post about the Grand Canyon. How many people who've been traveling all across the world like this have seen the Grand Canyon?
I didn't see the Grand Canyon until this year.
How was it for you?
Oh, it was amazing. I mean, like the
It's breathtaking,
sunset,
isn't it?
like it's your pictures do it no justice. I'm 28 years old, so seeing pictures of the Grand Canyon for 28 years, actually seeing it was just a whole other experience. I mean, the pictures, videos, anything you see online does not compare to actually being there and seeing it. And you kind of get to it. It's
Facts.
it's one of those things where you start reflecting on yourself and it's like, wow, this icon is thousands of years old, it's so large, and it starts to make you feel really insignificant at a point. And it's kind of like,
Mm-hmm.
wow, I'm so small, I'm just a drop up in the water compared to the rest of the world. So you start to think like I have to start doing better in life. I kind of had like a moment of self-reflection while I was at the Grand Canyon. It was really weird. And when I tell people this story, they're always like, this is really weird. I'm like, yeah, I had a moment of like self-reflection. I felt so small compared to the Grand Canyon. So to me, I left thinking I have to leave being a better person and figuring out how I'm going to work on changing, bettering myself and bettering the people around me and trying to better the world. Because I'm standing in front of this huge icon that has been here for thousands of years, and it's just so large and so grand, and it's just I was going through stuff while I was up there, but
Yeah.
it was really great.
I think it's a perfect example of how travel can change you, and you don't have to get on a flight to go to Australia or Dubai or even Europe. Like the United States has so many amazing monuments and structures and features. And the Grand Canyon, even when you get there, the shit don't look real, bro. It literally looks like a like. I feel like if they fake the moon landing, then the Grand Canyon is fake because you look out and it's just like you're looking at a movie screen, ain't it? It's
Yeah,
crazy.
it is. So we pretty much just walked around, took pictures, like I said, watched the sunset. We pretty much just walked around the top part of it. So I do want to go back and like visit other parts of it, and I think there's like whitewater rafting down there that you can do. So I do want to
Yeah, down
explore.
on the bottom.
Yeah, because it was really like a pit stop. I spent the day there. I was going to Vegas, so it was a really good experience. So like I said, I recommend people all the time. Like there's so much here in our own backyard that we can see and we can do. And just because you don't get your passport stamped, or you're not checking off another country, like you can still travel in the United States and have an amazing time.
100%, dude. And the way that your site is curated, the sort of the nature of the content, you really do stand by that message. And I think it helps relieve some of the celebrity from travel and social media. It really makes it practical for some people. Like you guys have to check out the website. He has practical things. What is it? Plan curating your next travel trip in 6 months or less. That's a piece on
Yeah.
there as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it just shows you how to iron down what you want to do. Sit down and say how I want to go somewhere. and then start doing it. What you need to be doing within 6 months, what you need to be doing in 3 months. Again, if you're a new time traveler, I say just go with your personality. Some people have dream cities they want to go to, dream countries they want to visit. I mean, that's all fine. But if you just want to travel, I mean, I think it's best to just, like I said, chase that deal. Sign up for all the websites. Use Skyscanner. Get those text alerts. Get those email alerts. Follow those people on Facebook. Follow those people on Twitter. Follow them on Instagram. Um, whether it's Airfare Watchdog or Secret Flying, make sure you're following them because they will alert you about everything that's going on, and that's when that's when you're going to get your ticket to London for $300. Is when you're following them, not when you're using Google Flights.
That's true. That's true. And it takes a little bit of planning and a lot of patience. However, that's how people like yourself, myself, and others were able to get amazing deals and have amazing experiences for a very reasonable price.
Yeah, I mean it's doable. I tell people that all the time. They have to get this idea that traveling is $1 million out of your head. I know plenty of people like these hardcore travelers who aren't flight attendants. I mean, no offense to flight attendants, but like the real hardcore travelers who work a 9 to 5, but they're like traveling, or even the people who just seem to travel full time. They're like staying in hostels. I talk to them. They're staying in hostels and like you have to get that
Yep.
idea. You have to get that idea of a hostel. Hostel, yes, it was a B-rated horror movie back in the day, but you have to know that a lot of hostels are really great places. You can pay for a private room or you can share a room and lock your stuff up. They give you lockers. And that right there saves you a lot of money.
A lot of money and provides opportunity to reach out to people who are in a similar
Yeah,
situation.
because I know people. I follow people, and I talk to people who stay in hostels all the time. And some of those hostels have open bars. They have free breakfast, so they say, yeah. When I sit down for breakfast is when I talk to people. I make friends. Sometimes we go out to the city together. We go out at night. Like it's like that's the hostel's a great community to meet people, and you know again, you may have a lifelong travel buddy or an Instagram buddy who y'all end up in the same country again. I'm telling you, do not sleep on hostels. I've never stayed in one before, but if I had the opportunity, I would stay in a hostel. I mean, I say go ahead, try it out. You're not going to die.
You're not going to die and you'll probably have a great experience. I've stayed in
Yeah.
hostels. I lived in hostels for a month in Paris, which was pretty much kind of like being homeless, but it was bearable because, you had other people there and it worked out.
Yeah. Well, you stayed in the hostel for a whole month.
Bro, all right, here's what I did. I had gone to France for 3 months. It was my first, I took a one-way ticket out there. I was there for 3 months and I was like, cool, I think I can kick it here. So I went back to the States, grabbed another bag. We're talking like a suitcase and a base because I'm a musician. And I said, I won't even worry about housing. I got a situation. It'll come through as soon as I arrive. Bro, I showed up there the day before New Year's and tried to get a hostel. And yeah, I was bouncing from hostel to hostel for about 3 weeks, bro. It was rough. With all of my
Wow.
shit. All of my shit. Yeah, man. About 50 pounds of gear, a $2,000-$3,000 base on my back. It was stressful, bro.
Yeah, that sounds stressful. So
But I'm safe. I'm not dead.
right. You have a great story out of it. I'm pretty sure you met some people. You had a good time. Like it's good. I mean, it's really good. I mean, people when you go places, they're typically friendly. I mean, people have this idea about Americans, but they typically don't hate us like you see on TV. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Depending on where you are, you do go some places, and especially if you're a black person, they do stare at you. They take pictures of you. They depending on where you go. I mean, you're not going to London and this is happening. I'm talking about where you're going to, like places in Asia. This happened when
Mm-hmm.
this happened when I was in Turkey. We were in Istanbul. They were just like taking pictures of my friends. When we were in Dubai, they would like stare at us a lot. We was in Abu Dhabi, they would stare at us a lot also. But people are still typically friendly. They're not gonna hate you because you're an American. They may want to talk to you about Donald Trump, but they're not gonna
They
hate
might
you.
definitely want to talk to
Yeah.
you about your presidential situation. Um,
Yeah. They may want to stop and ask, like, how did he get elected? I mean, I've been asked that maybe since 2016. when he was like the front runner, it was kind of like I've been asked at least 10 times, like, how did he get this? What are you guys doing? And then I have to, break down what's going on. Even though they already know, I mean, unlike us Americans, people overseas are really, really in tune to what's going on in America. They probably know how our government
Mm-hmm.
works. They probably know how our government works better than 90% of the people here. I mean, they know.
True.
Yeah, they know. Versus, people here, they're kind of like, what the hell is a prime minister? So, um, it's very interesting. But yeah, they people are friendly when you go overseas. They're gonna want to chit chat with you. They'll offer you all kinds of things like, oh, come party, come stay at my house, come get a bite to eat. Like people are typically friendly. They are going to treat you with that hospitality. They're not going to like hate you because you're an American. So don't be afraid to spark up a conversation with somebody or get to chatting with people. I've been on tour groups and I've met amazing people. In Costa Rica, we met people from like all over the world in our tour groups. So like, don't be afraid to talk to people, get to know people. You just never know who you're in a tour group with. I got some really great real estate investment advice from somebody on the tour group, and he was from Alabama. So you never really
Right.
know. Yeah, this man in Alabama, he was like, yeah, I have investment property all through Costa Rica. And he started going into detail about and it was like, wow, Costa Rica is really cheap, and apparently Americans are down there now buying up so much real estate, and it's just like, oh, interesting. So I got some really great real estate advice from somebody on the tour group, and he was from Dothan, Alabama. So don't know what the hell Dothan, Alabama is, but yeah, yeah.
Dothan, yeah, I'm not sure either.
I think it's
But
like
shout out to Dothan, Alabama.
yeah.
No shade, no shade. We respect the
I
whole
think it's
50
like southern. I
states.
think it's like Southern Alabama, but like again, he gave me some amazing real estate investment advice. I met a guy who owns he owns like a slaughterhouse, and I got some really great like meat advice. So again, you just never know who you're going to be in a tour group with. So I say take advantage of those tour groups, and you can get some excellent advice. You can meet a new friend. Tour groups are just a great way to just get out there and see things in a more organized fashion, and also meet people. So I recommend tour groups for all people, especially if you're going solo. I say hop on a tour group or two.
Right. And I like that you pointed out the organizational aspect about it, because I know personally I'm not the most organized person ever. And sometimes a tour does kind of bring that level of logic, like, hey, this is predictable. We know what's going to happen on this whole day, and you won't
Yeah,
freak out. It'll be okay.
yeah. So that's how I am. I'm fine with if you okay. We're in Paris. I want to see the Eiffel Tower. Okay, I don't need a tour group for that. But some places that I want to do a boat tour, or I want to see a specific site. I want to go to the rainforest. I'm not going to be walking around the rainforest aimlessly. I want a guy who's going to show me, because the guy we had in Costa Rica, amazing guy. He coordinated us to pick us up take us to the airport. He gave us a couple of days of tours. He was telling us about how he built the tour from like the ground up, and he was just showing us like little places, like little waterfalls and little secret places and little nooks in the rainforest. And it really worked out really well, during that tour group with him, because we weren't walking around in the rainforest aimlessly, because I'm not doing that stuff. I'm not. It's not going to happen.
Right. Right.
So, I'm not trying to have like a jaguar or a bobcat or anything hop out at me. So just let me know which way I can go to avoid all that. And the best route is a tour group. So I recommend them for, everybody to try at least one day out of your vacation, do a tour group. Um, I definitely be like a little more organized in the daytime. At night, I do like to go out and explore the city on my own, which is weird because it should be the opposite, because you're not supposed to feel that safe at night. But at night, I prefer like, let's go to this strip of bars, or let's go to this club. Like I'm like that versus
Right.
the daytime. I feel like I want to know where we're going, what we're doing. Like the day before, I need to know. So yeah,
And if you're used to going out, the nightlife is pretty similar everywhere. When you're in the forest, I spend way more time in bars than I do in the forest. So I definitely feel where you're coming from on that one. That's just me
yeah.
personally, though. I don't know about all of our listeners. Um, well, one thing I definitely wanted to ask you about, Keon, was two more things. One, I love the initiative of Black and Well Traveled, and I wanted to know if you could speak on why you think it's important to be well traveled, us being young Black millennials and especially Black men. What do you think being well traveled adds to us as people and the culture?
I definitely think being well traveled does give you a sense of appreciation,
Hmm.
to a degree, depending on where you're traveling. So I can't speak for everybody, but I've seen some things, I've seen the way people live, and it's kind of like it brings you a certain sense of appreciation. You go places sometimes, and again, you start to have that self reflection. It was like, wow, these people are happy living, the way they're living because they have their family or because they have, their health. And you get this sense of appreciation. It's like, I come back here and even our lower end apartments in America are sometimes, grandiose compared to, the flats you find in some places or the apartments you find in other places. So it does shine a sense of appreciation on you. At times, you go places, it's kind of like, man, I do not want to go back to America. I don't want to go back to this grind because these people in
Right.
this country they're just on chill mode, like here, and they're just living a good life. So you do I think it is important to just get an aspect of how other people in other countries live. Because I honestly feel like that's how you can make your life better. That's how we're going to kind of change America. We're going to kind of change the people around us if we just, see how other countries are living and we see how people are thriving and how they're getting by and how they're evolving and how they're growing. I feel like it makes us a better person because we can see that we don't need a lot of stuff sometimes.
Hmm.
We don't need a lot of stuff. We don't need like a lot of material stuff we have. Like, it's during the Christmas season, so this is a good time to bring this up. Like, we don't need like a lot of all the material stuff we need. All we need to do is get out there and, have our family, have our friends, have the things that we love and we care about. And it doesn't have to come down to materialistic stuff or, this new Apple product or a bigger TV. And you go places and it's kind of like they don't have washer dryers there. They still hang their clothes up. Their TVs are small. You go places kind of like, wow, I really don't need this large TV to get by. So
Right.
I think traveling brings you a sense of appreciation for how other people live, and it kind of does change you of how you live a little bit too. So I think that's very important. I think it's important for Black men, in particular, to see other cultures and see how they treat other people, including their
Hmm.
own kind, whether it's the women in their life, whether it's their family. You go a lot of places, and it comes down to family. A lot of countries are like it's all about their family. The men do everything to protect their family, to provide for their family, and I think Black men seeing that help us come back to America and want to be better men for our family too. I think it's another important reason why it's good to be, well traveled and world culture and just experiencing stuff. Like, there's whether it's the food or the music or the dance or just anything about the culture, the dress, just seeing that and how people are living and their culture. I think it just makes you a better person. So I think it's just very important to just travel as much as you can and see there and be open minded. Like, get out there, get off the beaten paths or whatever the saying is, travel the beaten path or
Get off the beaten path. Yeah, you
get
got it.
off
You
the
got
beaten
it.
path. There we go. Yeah, those are the best times is when you leave your 5-star resort and you go into the small villages or the small cities or the small towns. Like that's when you're gonna have the best time. Like the people there are friendly. That's when you get the authentic culture of whatever country you're in. So that's very important too.
I agree with so much of that, bro. And you hinted on something that I want to ask you just a little bit more about. And in all your experiences, I know you started super young, which is amazing, something to be so grateful for. Has travel, as you've grown up, especially in such a pro-black city, a black hub like Atlanta that you live in now, has traveling improved your self-image as a black man? Because for me personally, that changed my life, man. When I took my trip out in my mid 20s, like traveling and being able to see myself as a black man in somebody else's context where I felt I got more respect, more appreciation, I appreciated the culture, but I felt people appreciated me more. When I came back to the States, my self-esteem was just on a different level. Have you experienced anything like that for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, you still get some of the microaggressions when you go out of the
Sure.
country, but it's not a fearful microaggression like you deal with here in America. The
Okay.
people in other countries, they listen to the music, they watch some movies, so they don't necessarily think you're like a gangster, but they think you're like really cool. They think that there's only they think that you have money. It's a weird divide. Like you go some places and they can immediately tell whether you're African American or African.
Hmm.
And they think that all African Americans, because they're American, they still have a lot of money.
Right.
So you
Well,
are
especially if you
you
can
are
afford to travel to where they are, because they don't see
it,
many of us.
exactly, exactly. So they know that you're not there to work. You're not a expat or a migrant worker. They know that you're there to travel. So they assume that you have money, and they do treat you with a lot more respect than you get here in America. They're not scared of you. Their curiosities lie in what they see in the media, and so they
Hmm.
may ask you like, questions about like, certain things, cause they love hip hop music. They love our style, they love our culture, they love our music, they love our movies, they love all that. So you go places and it will, one of the hardest things to find, but you can't find anywhere you go, is a hip hop club, because like EDM is like all the rage everywhere you go. But if you go somewhere, you find a hip hop club. I mean, they know the music better than we know the music. I mean, they're in there
All the
bopping
words,
and
all the
dancing.
lyrics.
Yes,
Yep.
they're in there having a good time. They are like buying you shots, like So you go places, and again, the microaggressions aren't rooted in fear. They're rooted in curiosity.
I found that to be very much true. And sometimes it might be something they heard or something they read, but you mentioned them asking us about our president situation. It was the same thing with Barack Obama, except it was kind of a different, more of a positive appeal. But they're
Right.
so involved in the details of our culture, and especially in like French culture, it's so much about dialogue and discussion that they just want to have a decent conversation about anything, good, bad, or indifferent. It's really a
Um,
curiosity, but it's so nice, and to me, I think it's a feeling that people can look forward to be approached with curiosity rather than suspicion and fear, because of just how we're positioned differently in their cultures as black men. It's the same person. It's just the context that's
yeah.
changed.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree. So, again, like I said, they're just going off of the music that they know. And again, you go some places I will never forget. It was when I was growing up. It was me and my family. We went to a restaurant, and my dad's tall, he's bald, and he's dark skinned. So we like walk into
Hmm.
this restaurant, and this kid goes, "Oh my God, it's Michael Jordan." And like everybody like stops and looks, and I'm just like, I just would never forget that. So,
All
again,
right, Michael Jordan to you, little one. Yeah,
yeah. So I just always remember that being one of the funniest like stories ever of this little
it's
boy thinking
classic.
that my dad was like Michael Jordan. So again, you go places and you do feel a sense of like comfort versus like you're dealing with here sometimes in America. It's kind of like, okay, like the microaggressions are rooted in A, ignorance, or B, fear, or C,
Yeah.
racism. So it's kind of like, over there it's a little different. I mean, yes, they have very real issues with racism because colonialism is a worldwide issue. um
Hmm.
but that's more so for their natives, not for the visitors.
Right. And that's a wild thing too that unfortunately we don't have time to talk about, but like experiencing racism, the effects of colonialism or neo-colonialism where you're not on the bottom of the totem pole, that shit, that's a trip.
Yeah. Because I read stories all the time about like, whether it's like, you know, whether it's Africans and, Latin American countries, they have a real issue with colorism. And then Australia is just a horrible place for black people.
Mm,
But that's more so for the natives. I mean, when you go certain places and you're like, a black person who has traveled there, you're like an African American, you are put on a certain level versus, there are native Black people who are still kind of at the bottom of the totem pole.
Right. There's a phrase I used to say. Let's see if I can get it out right this time, the first time. Uh, that we like people of color, just not the ones we used to own.
Hmm. Interesting. That's a very interesting saying, and I have to agree because, like I say, it's just a weird thing to wrap your head around sometimes. But like you
Yeah.
go places and you do read stories about like how racist this country is, or how everything going on in like Britain with the whole Brexit thing, and them trying to stop immigrants from coming, and but you go some places and it's kind of like, wow, y'all treat y'all natives like hell, but you're very friendly to a brown skin or a dark skinned African American.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we see similar things here in the States, with the perception of Africans wherever they're coming from in the country. There's just a difference between being African and being Black American. There's a difference there. But dude, thank you for touching on that, because I think travel is exciting, and when people hear about it, especially those who have a desire to go out, it's sometimes we talk about these ideals that people don't immediately relate to. So talking about self-esteem and respect, and maybe even just feeling better about yourself. Hopefully that'll, I'm sure the way you presented it, it'll inspire someone to at least do some research, investigate, sign up for a flight deal, and just see what comes across their desk. Man, I really, really do appreciate that.
Yeah, I agree, and I really I know people who have been expats and they like have had zero racial issues, and like I said, they really like it. I mean, it's just such a difference in how you're treated, whether it's by law enforcement or by your neighbor or by people you work with. They say it's just such a difference than being here in America. So I always find that interesting.
Yeah, and I think people owe it to themselves at least once in life, while travel is so available and technology is so accessible, to at least just try it. And if you need help, hopefully this show or your website will provide resources. And as we round out, as always, man, I want you to talk about everything you have going on. So we talked about Black and Well Traveled a little bit, but man, let us know what else you got going on, and tell us more about the site and what people can learn there.
Yeah, so I am revamping the site some. So I'm gonna next year I'm gonna start up. Just putting more articles up, having more guest bloggers, giving more
Mm-hmm.
giving more advice. I want to keep having this to be a place you can go and type in I'm going to Cancun, and then you have three articles pop up about Cancun. You can know what to
Yeah.
do there, what not to do there. You can have like some fun places to visit, some tips and tricks. I want to just keep expanding the site and keep it growing to where it can be a place where you can find all the advice you need when you travel. I want to keep expanding it to where you get all the advice leading up to travel, because I think planning is very important. Planning and preparation is very important. I do follow some people that have had discussions with people who can plan a trip in a day, and the next they're in Hong Kong. And I'm just like, how did you do that? That's just not the way
Right.
my life is. The way my life is set up, I can't do that. I would have
Right.
an anxiety. I would have an anxiety attack. So I think planning is very important. Um, and I think just I want to be able to keep equipping people with the tools to know that you can travel. The tools, whether it's like, using Skyscanner, again, using Google Flights if you want to, having those email alerts coming through, knowing what days to ask off for, that's all very important. Having that type of, preparation, those tools readily available is great in executing, your travel plan. So I think that's very important. And then lastly, I am going to keep on encouraging people that to travel and that travel is possible. I always tell people all the time, you do not have to go 5 star every time you travel. You don't have to do that. You don't have to break the bank to travel. And I want to keep reminding people that travel is possible for everybody. If it's something you want to do it because you want to do it, not because it's the it thing to do right now.
Right.
Yeah,
That's real,
having a
man.
having a stamp passport is like the it thing, and I feel like I want to keep trying to dismantle that to where people are traveling for the love of it, for the fun of it, for the culture, for gaining a new perspective in life, or just taking a break from work. I mean, those are the bases of travel to me, and I want to make sure that the culture sticks to that. Like that's what we stay doing. Not traveling because you want to post good pictures on Instagram or stuff like that. Because you don't have to. It still happened even though you didn't post it on Instagram. I want people to know that it still happened. But
Right.
I want you to get wrapped up in the experience and the memories rather than like documenting it for your Instagram feed.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I think it's an awesome and healthy perspective. And I love the fact that you are so out there in the culture with the hashtag Black and Well Travel, with the page, with the great content you're curating, because I think this perspective is needed for the longevity of travel and the influence it's going to have on our whole generation, being Black millennials, as they call us. I think it's
Yeah,
an awesome thing, bro.
yeah. 'Cause I've read and I've talked to and I've met people who traveling has got them to just give up their life in America, take their family on the road, or quit corporate America and just travel full time. Like, and that's what I want. I want the basis of travel to remain as a bridge to happiness, and
Mm.
not a bridge to instant gratification. And I think that's very important.
Right. And that instant gratification, it's instant. It's often short lived, and you end up with some other problems you have to deal with later down the road. So
Yeah, like your lights getting cut off. Yeah. Like your lights getting cut off because you were so busy trying to like, get an all inclusive resort when it's like, why, if you're going to be out partying and out doing that, all inclusive resorts, or if you are trying to relax and stay on the resort. Like, you don't need to stay in the W everywhere you go. You don't need a suite everywhere you go. To me, I tell people that all the time. Like, I don't need a suite. I'm barely going to be sleeping.
right.
Like I don't need all that. I can sort of lay my head down that ain't infested by bugs and I'm good to go. And I can keep that money in my pocket because you're gonna go and you're gonna spend a lot of money on lodging. Because you go somewhere for a week and you're trying to like, live in this nice hotel, that's gonna be like $1,000 right there you spent on
That's
the
rent. That's
hotel.
a month of rent.
That's insane. That's what that is. So it's like, scale back some, stay at the Holiday Inn if you have to. Like, you don't have to stay at, the a 7-star hotel or 5-star hotel. You don't gotta stay at the underwater hotel in Dubai when you go there. You don't have to do that. You can get you a nice little Hilton hotel if you have to, and then go from there. Airbnb. Airbnb is definitely the move.
Yeah. Airbnb and hostels are also up there, man. So I'm looking forward to seeing some more content, and
Yeah.
we'll stay in touch for sure, because I like the vibe, I like the energy, and hopefully we can kind of help make some shifts in the culture together. Who knows? Point Noir, black and well traveled, the possibilities are endless. But I want to make sure people definitely check out the 6 months to curating your own travel. We're going to have a link just for that on the show. I'm going to make sure to do that, because what better way to start off 2019 than by planning out a trip for June? Like, that's beautiful, man. That's perfect.
Yeah, I mean that's an expensive time to travel, but if you start planning now, you can save a couple $100. So June is very expensive to travel. So
Let's do it, man. Well, Keon, thank you so much for your time, your patience, man. I appreciate your voice and perspective. And dude, this has been a great show. I hope you enjoyed it.
yeah, I really appreciate it. Thank you for inviting me on the show. I love it. I had a really great time. I hope we can stay in contact and I can be back on another time.
100%, bro. And maybe we'll do it live.
All right, thanks for having me.
All right, peace. Y'all, get out there and chase that deal. Chase that deal like a dog. Thank you so much, Keon, for sharing that nugget, that gem. That's how you get started, you guys. Sign up for some of these websites for these travel deals, and you never know what's going to come across your email inbox. It could be something so good, so affordable that you just can't resist going. The country's not even on your list. You just pop off and make it happen. The next thing you know, you're collecting experiences, you're making friends, you're meeting people, you're becoming the traveler that you probably always thought you could be. So thank you, Keon, and I really appreciate, again, your emphasis on making travel affordable and practical and within people's means. You just have to do the research. So again, you guys can check out his site, blackandwelltraveled.com, or follow them on IG at blackandwelltraveled, and definitely check out Keon on IG as himself, Keon J. Steele, always promoting that kind of vibe when it comes to travel. And I think it's definitely a needed perspective when it comes to how we look at Instagram and social media and travel in general. That all being said, this is the end of another session. Make sure you share an episode if it definitely resonated with you, or you have someone in your life that says they want to travel and need some help. This is definitely a great place to start. But until the next time, I'm Jerry the Third, signing off.